What's up, everybody? Jeff Siegel here, and I'm telling you about this device, all right, that measures your breath and tells you whether you're burning carbohydrates or fats as a source of energy. And this ties back to this idea of metabolic flexibility, which I described in the previous video. So if you did not watch that, go back and check that out, because that is essential to understanding what we're trying to do here is to make sure that your body can easily, comfortably, and readily shift between burning fats and burning carbohydrates, all right? Because this is the essential quality of a healthy metabolism that's going to make sure that your body is healthy, happy for a long, long time. And now this device here is primarily working with 3 toggles to help ensure that you can retain your metabolic flexibility. So what are these 3 toggles? And I want you to think about this in terms of energy inputs and energy outputs, or supply and demand, because we're talking about metabolism here, right? And this is referring to how your body, right, is processing, doing all of the many millions, billions, trillions of different things to keep you alive. What is the fuel that is keeping this organism going? And so these 3 toggles are carbohydrate intake, meal timing, and exercise. So let's talk about number 1, carbohydrate intake. Right? Your body likes to maintain its blood sugar levels at a steady place. If you are eating carbohydrates all day, every day, right, then your blood sugar is going to rise up. Your body has to release all these hormones to pull the blood sugar back down. All right, if you want to learn more about blood sugar regulation, go check out my videos on the Levels app, the continuous blood glucose monitor, and you can learn all about how that device can help you manage and regulate your blood sugar. But the important thing here, all right, is just monitoring your carbohydrate intake, noticing or paying attention to how many carbs you're eating in a day. And this doesn't mean specifically counting every single gram. You don't have to get out scales. You don't have to be sort of hyper numerical about this, but just gauging roughly, all right, how many carbohydrates are going into your body, because this is going to impact your metabolic flexibility. You need to give your body some days where you're having fewer carbohydrates to allow it to shift over into that fat burning mode. And you need to give your body some days where it's having higher carbohydrates to ensure that those sugar burning pathways don't get lost and are still working as well as they can. And this is what's going to ultimately help you retain that metabolic flexibility. Now, the cool thing about this device is that it tries to personalize this carbohydrate intake based upon the readings that it gets from your body every single day. And so if it notices that you've been in fat burning mode for a long time, it's going to suggest that you go out and you have a higher carbohydrate day. Or if you've been stuck burning carbs for the last couple of days, it's going to suggest that you go have a lower carbohydrate day to try to pull back on some of those sugars, which helps keep your insulin levels low and helps your body tap into the fat stores that it already has as a source of energy. All right, so paying attention to carb intake is toggle number 1 that's going to help you retain good metabolic flexibility. Toggle number 2 is meal timing. And now this topic has gotten a ton of attention because there are a lot of diets out there like intermittent fasting and other eating programs that have sort of highlighted the importance of giving your body a prolonged period without eating. And now what's so interesting is that, a couple decades ago, the whole idea was lots of small meals during the day is going to keep your metabolism revved up. And then we've shifted to the other end where it's like, no, we need long periods of fasting to help your body tap into its fat energy sources, and also to tap into some of these processes of cellular regeneration that typically only happen when your body has not consumed food for a long period of time. All right. And now the beauty of the idea of metabolic flexibility is that we're not necessarily saying that you should always be fasting for a long period of time, and we're not saying that you should constantly be eating small meals all day, every day. But that there are times where it's helpful to fast, and there are times where it's helpful to feast. And so we can tie this all together with this idea of circadian rhythms, or chrononutrition. And this is just the basic, simple idea of that your body generally does a better job digesting, consuming, assimilating calories during the day than it does at night. And this has to do with all sorts of 24-hour cycles and rhythms in your body all right, that are dependent upon things like your liver producing enzymes which help digest your food, and your gastrointestinal tract and how it moves through your system, right? That you typically want to be eating the majority of your food during the day, and then you want to be fasting or regenerating at night. Right? And so what you can do is you can alter your meal timing to help give you that feeding window during the day and that fasting window at night. And that's going to help shift your body from processing that food that you put into the tank during the day and having a long enough period at night to give your body the chance to dip into whatever stores it needs to at night. Now, typically, all right, what you want to see happen is your body shift over into fat burning by the time you wake up in the morning. Right? And so the most important reading you can get on this device is the first thing when you wake up. You want to see your body in fat burning mode is a sign that you have been consuming perhaps the appropriate amount of carbohydrates and energy for your body, not too much, not too little. Now your body's in fat burning mode, and it can then move from there into sugar burning mode as needed and then come back to fat burning mode. And so paying attention to your meal timing can be one really, really important tool that can be helpful to maintain that metabolic flexibility. And now toggle number 3, exercise. All right, so it's pretty obvious that your daily physical activity is going to make a difference, right? Because we're talking about, again, energy inputs and energy outputs. How much energy are you demanding from your body? The more physical activity you do, the more exercise you do, the more energy you're going to demand from your body. And so where is that energy coming from? And this is where things get a little bit more complicated, because depending on the type of exercise that you do, all right, your body is going to be pushed towards pulling from more sugars or pulling from more fats. Right? Now, generally speaking, your body is always using some combination of the two. It's never 100% sugar, 100% fat. Again, we're sort of moving between this continuum, these poles from one to the other. When you do high intensity exercise, so we're talking about when you are sweating, when you are kind of gross, when you've got that glazed donut look and you are totally breathless, right? This sort of high intensity interval training typically is going to demand more sugars from your body, because that sugar is that quick burning, fast source of energy. And so when you muscles need that quick hit, it's going to pull from sugars to fuel that. Conversely, when you are doing lower, more steady state exercises, like maybe going for a leisurely bike ride or taking a long, slow run, right, your body is typically going to be pulling more from fats to fuel that activity. Now, again, the important thing here is flexibility. So what we're saying is that you should be able to do both. If you only ever do that sort of slow, steady state type of cardio exercise, all right, then you're going to lose some of your ability to tap into those sugar burning pathways that are going to give you that quick source of energy. And that ultimately is going to impact your top performance. You're not going to be able to push quite as hard, quite as fast, quite as long. Conversely, if you only ever do that high intensity exercise, those quick interval bursts, all right, then you might lose some of your ability for this longer endurance and stamina that comes from training your body to burn fat for those slower, steady state activities. And so just thinking about the type of exercise that you do and how it's going to be preferentially training your body to be burning sugars or burning fats. And now when you combine that with these other two toggles of how much carbohydrates you're putting into your body, how long of a period you're going between eating, you can begin to see how regulating these toggles, controlling the supply and the demand, energy in, energy out, type of fat coming in, type of sugars going out, right? You can begin to manipulate your metabolism either towards greater flexibility of having periods of sugar burning and periods of fat burning, preferentially defaulting back to the fat burning as that primary source of energy, or you can kind of dysregulate your body, constantly throwing it into sugar burning pathways, which we tend to see where the most issues are, again, where your body gets really just stuck on burning sugars and we lose that ability to burn fat, which is not only going to make it harder to lose fat if that is your goal, but it's going to create all these other metabolic consequences down the line that aren't going to be particularly helpful for you maintaining a happy and healthy life. So I want you to think about these toggles, and guess what? It can be a lot, which is why it is so helpful to work together with a coach to figure out, hey, how can I customize, right, my carbohydrate intake, my meal timing, and my exercise to make sure that my body is getting the things that it needs to be healthy and happy. So until next time, Jeff Siegel here. Just breathe, smile, all right, and toggle away.